You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
From the border of liberty and prosperity and the highway to the north, this is Safety Wars for Monday, March 27th, 2023. What happened the end of last week? I was writing out a check and I wrote down 2022. That's usually when it happens, about this time of the year for me. How's everybody doing out there? Let me go to safetyfm.com, make sure I'm broadcasting, because last week I was broadcasting for several minutes, but for whatever reason, it was not going on Safety FM. Yes, I am broadcasting. I had the microphone turned off last week. It wasn't the radio station's fault. But anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. Wanted to start off with on a somber note. 7 years ago today, I can't believe it's 7 years ago, my brother John passed away. It was Easter Sunday in 2016. I wish some good could come out of this, but he had long-term health problems. And This week, we're also marking another somber anniversary of my mother-in-law passing away. This was on March 31st, which is when? Friday. This Friday. So, what I would like everybody to do is, if you haven't done it yet, go out and get your first aid CPR and AED refreshers or first-time classes. If you need help on that, give us a call, 845-269-5772, or email me at jim@safetywars.com. I teach the class. So if you have a long-term health problem, chronic problem like diabetes, heart disease, and any other number of things, make sure you take care of yourself. Work with your doctors, work with your nurses, or whoever else is on your healthcare team. Take these problems seriously because John died way too young. Not even 55. So that's all I have to say on that. This past Saturday morning, I spent the morning interviewing a very good friend of mine, Murray Sabrin. If you're from New Jersey, New York area, you know him as a two-time candidate for political office and professor emeritus at Ramapo College. We discuss the banking situation. You don't want to miss this program. I'm editing it. I'll be editing it tomorrow for broadcast on Wednesday. You don't want to miss that program. We talk about everything, including environmental, social governance, and no, I'll say this much: with a lot of a lot of it's good. A lot of it I have to question on this, and one of my issues with ESG, and it was in the Professional Safety Journal last week, by the way, last Friday, I received my issue for March. With the smaller firms trying to do business with the bigger firms, there's a lot of problems with writing ESGs related stuff because they don't have the economies of scale, and oftentimes things are exaggerated or there's outright fraud with those programs. No, that's been my experience, and it's people treat it as a joke. So for some things we could agree with that. So for example, a statement saying you're not going to go and hire slave labor, for example, or take people's passports away when they work for you, or things of that nature. Yeah, that's simple. I think we could all agree with that. But some of the other stuff, maybe not so much. And we talked about forced relationships in business also. Now, what's the purpose of a business? And at least from his point of view, maybe some of you are going to agree, some of you are not going to agree. That's just the way it goes. Anyway. Now people are texting me. Are you kidding me? You know I'm on the air. Okay, here we go. A lot of big stories today. We're going to start out with the financial news right off the bat with the closing markets. Right. Dow Jones Industrial, 32,000 is up slightly today, 32,432. S&P 500 up slightly to 3977.53. Nasdaq fell slightly, 11,768. Russell 2000 rose 1.08% to close at 1753.67. U.S. 10-year Treasury notes are at 3.527. Note the price of the Treasury notes. All right. That's going to be a discussion on Wednesday. Gold is at 1959.40, and Bitcoin is trading at 27,124.50. Those are both up, and crude oil is up to $73 a barrel. I want to note to everybody, I'm broadcasting 8:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, March 27th. A lot of these markets, like crude oil, Bitcoin, gold, they trade 24/7, basically. For gold, it's 24/6. So just keep that in mind. Silver at $23.39, up slightly. Platinum at $994.50, and palladium at $1460.50. So those are the financial markets for the day. Okay, let's hold on, everybody. Big story tonight. All right. These are what's the latest reports are. There was a trans female former student, 28, armed with 2 assault rifles and a handgun, kills 3 9-year-old kids and 3 staff members at Nashville private Christian school after writing manifesto and drawing maps of church campus. The shooting took place on Monday at the Covenant School in Nashville. Shooter has been named as 28-year-old Audrey Hale, who lives nearby. And basically, 6 people, including 3 children, are dead after a female shooter opened fire in a private school in Nashville, killing 3 9-year-old children and 3 staff members. The shooter was 28-year-old Audrey Hale, who at one time attended the school. I don't know about that. That's allegedly, right? So, police said she identified as transgender, and online profiles show Audrey used he or him pronouns. So, and around, so the narrative on all this stuff is, the narrative on this stuff is the same as usual, right? So, I had, when this happened in Uvalde last year, right, and this is a private school, private schools covered by OSHA. So I'm sure OSHA will probably issue a report on this or something else. And if they don't, they probably should on this, on what happened. But on the public schools, normally they're not covered unless they're by federal OSHA. They're covered by a hodgepodge of regulations by either state OSHA or by no OSHA at all. And it's done by statutory law, this and that. It's a hodgepodge. It's all mixed up. What my solution, and it's controversial, I'm going to say that much, is that OSHA should have jurisdiction over public schools. This way you have a federal investigation anytime this stuff happens, and the school district will be compelled to protect their workers, a.k.a. teachers and staff members and everything else. So there would be another tool there, and there would probably be federal resources allocated, if anything, for the even on the website or for spot inspections or something like that in this area. Now, people say, well, OSHA's like understaffed and undermanned. Yeah, I understand. Maybe we can increase the staff with this. And also because what often happens is there's very little incentive for government workplaces to work safely. I hear all different types of horror stories from government employees and their workplaces, right? And when they find out I'm a health and safety professional, who do I call? Well, you call your state agency that's responsible for workplace safety in for public employees. Well, we did that. They never showed up. Or we did that. We made complaints to this agency, that agency, this group, that group. They get ignored. And what am I saying? Put it under federal jurisdiction. Even if you have, you hire 150 or 200 more OSHA citation compliance officers, and I always say citation officer. That's like bad, right? OSHA compliance officers. Put these schools on notice that they're going to be that they're under greater scrutiny. I think at that point, at least they could go and hey, we're going to have certain procedures in place to protect the workers, to protect the schools. And no, you're protecting the workers, you're protecting the students also. You have that's what the benefit is on this. So you're protecting both sets. That's what my solution is on that. Now you can say, well, what about the guns? What about this? I don't even want to go into the guns on this. with this. That's a little bit more too much controversy than I want to go into. But I think it would be an easier sell politically to go and get some type of federal jurisdiction over the schools for school and treat them as workplace safety incidents with this. They already do it with armed robbery. They already do it in banks. They already do it with bodegas, right? Convenience stores, anything like that. Social workers in private settings, things of that nature, private mental hospitals, all those types of stuff. They already do this. Maybe we could do this on this. This, I think, will be an easy sell for Congress to come up and do the power. For Congress to come up, write the legislation, and get it passed on this. All right. I think anything with guns is going to be fought tooth and nail by both sides from each of their point of views. I think is very divisive, and I think this would be an easier thing to do. I would give automatic federal resources when one of these things happen, and in terms of investigations of this nature, and more importantly, this will all be on the public record as to what happened. Right now, there's a lot of accusations with some of these school shootings that things that now it's not on the public record. It's all in under investigation. A lot of the stuff, there's accusations of cover-ups, there's accusations of this and of that and everything else. Now, I want to point out something. Since some of these shootings years ago, where the press went out there and riled things up, and were fighting to be the first one to report a story or anything like that, added to a lot of confusion. It seems like the press is not going hog wild, as to borrow a term from another age, and just going around and we're issuing reports in the heat of the moment and in the fog of the incidents here. So I want to commend the press for not going out there and adding to the conspiracy theory culture, for lack of a better word. Okay, some of the other news. OSHA news. I tell you what, let's take a break here. Let me get a drink.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
You are listening to Safety Wars. Tomorrow's Safety Today.
Yes, we are back. Yes, it is tomorrow's Safety Today. Anyway, by the way, that was my daughter on there, right? Here we have from the Department of Labor, Occupational Safety and Health Administration press releases. Court requires Austin Auto Dealership to pay $15,000 in damages to employee fired in 2020 after raising COVID-19 safety concerns. When an employee of a luxury, this this headline is right. So this employer reinstated the worker and paid $116,000 in back wages in an earlier agreement. So they got $116 plus this $15,000. All right. When an employee of a luxury auto dealership in Austin learned a coworker had tested positive for COVID-19 in 2020, they alerted the company's management and requested they notify other employees immediately of their exposure risk. Remember, this is 2020. Things were going nuts back there. After the dealership failed to act, the employee mailed all company employees about the potential hazards. Less than an hour later, the car dealer terminated the employee. On March 20th, 2023, the Department of Labor obtained a consent judgment in U.S. District Court that requires the employer, I'm not going to mention the name of it, to pay the employee $15,000 in compensatory damages. The court also forbade the dealership from discriminating against their employees when they exercise their federally protected rights to raise workplace safety concerns. The action follows a lawsuit filed by the department in October 2021 and a federal whistleblower investigation by OSHA. The agency found that dealership illegally retaliated against the employee in December 2020, violating whistleblower protections under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Quote, retaliating against employees who report workplace safety and health concerns is illegal, said OSHA Regional Administrator Eric S. Harbin in Dallas. In this case, an employee raised legitimate concerns about a potential coronavirus hazard at the car dealership where they worked. Such good faith alerts others to possible risks and makes workplaces safer. In a related case, the Department and the National Labor Relations Board negotiated an agreement on July 26, 2022 with the employer and the employee that required the company to pay $116,000 in back wages to reinstate them to their previous positions. When employers retaliate against their workers for voicing safety concerns and health hazards, right? Going on, it goes on and on. Okay, this is where I see the problem, all right? We know in construction, we hear about OSHA all the time. Environmental stuff, OSHA all the time, because you have the 1910-120 regulations for hazardous waste site operations and emergency response. We hear stuff in construction because you have a lot of outreach in construction about OSHA. General industry, things start to get a little bit slim shady sometimes, where employers don't, where you have employers that do not know what OSHA is. I've met them all the time. And where the employer or the owner may have heard of OSHA, their workforce has not heard about OSHA. Does not know about, I was just dealing with a company about 6 months ago where they never heard of OSHA, didn't know that about working conditions, no training, no nothing. And this was in the restaurant industry. And they had a major injury, and what do you think happened? Workers' comp it automatically gets reported to OSHA, or the OSHA at a certain point gets a report. Anytime that there's a 911 or 911 call made and a police, ambulance, or fire department come to a workplace, there's a very good chance that they're going to report it to OSHA, especially if that has to do with an overnight hospital stay where you're legally admitted into the hospital. No, it's not. It's a recordable. So what's my point on this? And then what happens? The company gets a visit from OSHA. How come you didn't report this? And going on and on. What's my point? Lack of training, lack of awareness. If you're going to be going and hiring people, putting them in charge, right, then it's incumbent on you, the employer, to train them in health and safety issues. All right? And Hold on. I got to go to commercial break. Something just happened. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. Sorry about that. We had a situation. I had to answer the phone. All right. So what it comes down to, companies hire people. They don't give them training. People get put in supervisory positions, and they don't get training. They don't know anything about this whistleblower stuff or anything else, but you can do that by calling 845-269-5772 or Jim at safetywars.com. We could set you up with a class on this. We could coach you along. You give us a call. You make an appointment with me. It could be done online. It could be done in person, depending on the location. And we could go over what your requirements are as an employer with OSHA, as far as OSHA and whatever your situation is. We're not talking a lot of money here, guys, because right now, all right, this employee, right, all that they had to do was, allegedly, according to the article I'm reading here, and I'm basing it on this article, all that they had to do was address that, right? All that they had to do was address it. Okay, look, there's somebody here, blah, blah, blah. And this was all under the CDC guidelines they had worked out and everything else. They had form letters. This could have been a company-wide Zoom call. This could have been a company-wide email. Hey, just to let you know, Jane Doe ended up with an issue here, or an employee. No, you can't use a name, but everyone will know who you're talking about. Hey, an employee who has this, right? You may want to, these are the symptoms, things of that nature. Very small type of thing. Maybe they could have said, hey, to the employee who reported, hold on, we're going to come out with an email tomorrow morning on this. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you for your concerns, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then the next morning you send it out. Now you're dealing with $116,000 plus another $15,000, $131,000, plus attorney fees, plus the time wasted, plus you lost a good employee with this, plus you lost good faith with your other employees. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logical sense. It doesn't make business sense to be doing this type of stuff. Really doesn't. All right. Here we go. Next one. U.S. Department of Labor, Grain and Feed Association of Illinois renew alliance to address common hazards in the grain handling industry. So there's an alliance renewal with the Grain and Feed Association of Illinois. On March 24, 2023, OSHA's Illinois area offices renewed an alliance with the Grain and Feed Association of Illinois to address grain industry hazards associated with engulfment, falls, conveying equipment, and combustible dust. The association's executive director, Jeff Atkinson, joined OSHA area directors Trish Rankin of Peoria, Aaron Pretty in Fairview Heights, Jacob Scott in Naperville, Suvkir Carr in Chicago North, and James Martinek, Martinek, a whole family in Woodbridge. James Martinek of Chicago South to sign the alliance agreement. The 4-year alliance renews an agreement originally signed in March 2020. Representatives of each organization will meet at least annually to track and share information on activities and results in achieving the goals of the alliance to improve safety and health in the grain industry. So it's all the same thing. Outreach initiatives, sharing invitations, or then, right, different events, right? And I just heard of this. There's an annual Stand Up for Grain Safety Week. Let's click on that. What's that about? The standupforgrain.org. It's this week, March 27th to 31st. Well, what do you know? They have Zoom links for all sessions talking about grain. That's interesting. I'm going to save that one. Okay. Now, and what's somewhat regional for us here, we had a chocolate factory explode in Pennsylvania. All right. Death toll in Pennsylvania chocolate factory explosion climbs to 7. All right. So, let's see. What are the details here? The death toll in Pennsylvania chocolate factory explosion climbs to 7. I tell you what, if you can handle it, they have video of the actual explosion. The remains of 2 more victims were discovered late Sunday, bringing its death toll to 7, authorities in the borough of West Reading said. It's believed that the two corresponded to 2 people believed to have gone missing after Friday's blast. Right, the fine closes search operations at the R.M. Palmer Company as no other people connected to the location were missing. And it's just an unbelievable thing. Now, let's talk about what possible causes would be. All right. You're dealing with chocolate. You're dealing with 2 things that are highly flammable. You're dealing with sugar and sugar dust, and you're also dealing with chocolate, cocoa dust, right? Both are organic dusts. When they're ground into a powder, things explode. And I'm not involved with the investigation here, and I don't have any details. But this is basically this is based on my experience with dust explosions and my education about dust explosions. So remember, finely grained powder has more surface area than coarsely ground coarse powder. So when you get into fine grained powder, it makes it much more explosive. And I suspect that's probably what happened here. That's my suspicion, where there was probably something with dust. Dust gets suspended in the air. Dust somehow may have been an accumulation of dust, even though I don't believe that to be the case in a food producing thing. Usually those things are pretty clean. But in the machine shop, especially machine shop, where they're grinding things, especially things like aluminum, accumulation of metal powder, and then something dislodges it, right? Goes down, finds a ignition source, and then before you know it, you have a massive explosion. Then that gets compounded by rupturing of gas pipes and any other utilities there, including electric, where you have electric arcs, you have all different types of things of that nature, and you have natural gas burning, and now you have a massive problem here. And, let's consider thoughts and prayers to the families where this happened with this. What does R.M. Palmer make? That's one to look up. What do they? Yeah, their website says they're currently closed. Yes, I would think so. The building is completely leveled. They make all different types of stuff. I'm sure that they were ramping up for the Easter rush on candy for the Easter Bunny. So, thoughts and prayers with them. I don't know. It's a shame. Crying shame with that. Hopefully we'll get to the bottom of that so we do not have any more situations. We're going to get on with some other news right here. And I want to hit you with another commercial since we had 2 commercial breaks already because we had an urgent phone call there on the emergency line. Okay, we're going to go on over to one of our favorite websites here, studyfinds.org. So Melatonin supplements may lower a child's risk of self-harm and suicide. This is an article by John Anderer. Can't get too much more of a German name than that. New research out of Sweden highlighting the importance of sleep during adolescence reveals a link between melatonin use and a reduction in episodes of self-harm among young people with anxiety and depression. Scientists at the Karolinska Institute performed an observational study of medical sleep treatments among adolescents and discovered the risk of self-harm increased in the months before a melatonin prescription and decreased afterwards, particularly in females. Melatonin is a natural hormone, blah, 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 helps regulate the sleep. So that's interesting. And I hate it when the computer locks up. The website locks up. World population could peak at 8.5 billion people by 2050, study predicts. This is out of Rome. Another story by John Anderer. The global population has steadily increased at a high rate for decades. For instance, 2003, the population on the planet came in somewhere around 6.4 billion. Today, humanity has crossed the 8 billion population mark. No shortage of studies and organizations try to predict what the future holds for humanity in terms of population statistics. Now, a new report states that if global society takes a giant leap in terms of investment in economic development, education, and health, the world population may peak around 8.5 billion by 2050. So that means that it's going to peak by 2050 and then decline, they think, to 7 billion by 2100. And this is a put together by Earth for All initiative there. So let me say this much. China had a one-child policy. Now they, for 2 generations, now they are in a demographic crunch. What do you think is going to be happening 2100, 2150 if this study is correct? You're going to have a reduction in population, and you're going to, again, have a demographic problem. There are a lot of regions in the world that are having demographic problems now with declining populations, Japan being one of them. The other one, certain U.S. cities also, because population's on the move. So what happens? You have an ecology called a population pyramid, where the bottom of the pyramid, which are the younger people, are supposed to be larger than the top pyramid. When you, in nature, and we are part of nature, let's not forget that. When that population pyramid gets out of whack, what happens? Bad things happen. Resources are not allocated efficiently or properly. And regardless of market forces, and you have problems. This is what's going on in this country with Social Security, for example. I'm not a financial guy, but I do know some things. Russia, right, according to a lot of demographers, is in war in the Ukraine because right now is their peak population for young people to fight in the war, young men specifically. Guess what? 20 years, that's not going to be the case. So they have the manpower. So what's going on? Things are changing. You're having more automation, more drone strikes. Hell, before the end of this decade, I imagine they're going to have Terminator-type machines, all right, out there, right? Like in the Terminator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, or I'll be back, right? They might have that. Why? Because we're running out of people. The other thing is the demographics are fouled up. Another thing that might happen is governments will give people incentives to have children or for better prenatal care, so the infant mortality rate does not it could be improved. Now you're going to say, Jimmy, you're nuts. Jimmy, what are you talking about? That doesn't happen. Case in point, Friday night we talked about Philadelphia giving $18,000, right? It might not have been Friday. I think it might have been was Murray Sabin on Saturday. $18,000 to pregnant women, so now they could have better infant mortality rates, lower infant mortality. Right? Again, that would probably result in better demographics and everything else. Don't think that it can't happen. In Russia, they've been incentivizing childbirth for many years. Putin, I don't know how successful it was, one day about 15 years ago said, everybody go out and take the day off, make some babies. Right? This kind of stuff does happen because, and you also had the disincentive in China for 2 generations. And now, in the next 50 years, China is going to look a lot different because there are not going to be a lot of young people to take care of the old people and support the economy. In this country, there's never going to be a shortage of immigrants wanting to come here. There's an incentive not to crack down on illegal immigration, regardless of what your opinion is, or immigration in general. Why? Because we need people here with the population pyramid on the bottom. That's what demographers are looking at. That's what government planners do. What drives our economy is capitalism, people buying stuff, people using stuff. This sort of stuff goes on. So, some food for thought there. By the way, one of the most popular web series is Handmaid's Tale. And what's The Handmaid's Tale? Handmaid's Tale is a story about a demographic collapse. And a religious group comes in to, hey, we're going to resolve this demographic collapse sort of thing. Right? And it was a demographic collapse because of infertility. So, in New York, nearly 7 in 10 Americans believe climate change will be a catastrophic illness. This is a story by Sophia Norton from Study Finds. Survey of 2,000 U.S. adults looked at their sentiments around environmentalism, found that Gen Z and millennials are especially likely to feel like climate change will affect their future. However, just 1/3 of all respondents felt informed about environmentalism. Well, tell them to tune into the podcast from last week, Safety Wars. Right? We have one more podcast release for that. That's probably going to happen tomorrow. And 1 in 9 admit that are not confident in understanding how waste affects the environment, but most will be interested in learning more, 77%. Again, if you're an environmental consultant, regardless of your background, you have opportunity here with this. Here's from John Ander again. Flesh-eating bacteria spreading across the East Coast could explode from climate change. So this is a research from University of East Anglia that the continual warming of Earth's climate may result in proliferation of a fatal infection caused by bacteria found along the East Coast. The flesh-eating bacteria, called Vibrio vulnificus, is known to grow in warm, shallow coastal waters and can infect humans via cut or insect bite during contact with seawater. So what is it? Infections on the East Coast have increased from 10 to 80 annually over a 30-year period. So they're on the rise. Where did the bacteria come from? Around the Gulf of Mexico. So, anyway, some pretty interesting stuff here. Very, Now, for weird news, here's a weird one, right? Social anxiety can be crippling for patients. Current treatments to help anxiety sufferers be more in the moment by focusing on their senses and concentrating on their breathing, even when alone. We found that individuals who undertook one session of mindfulness therapy together with being exposed to human body odors showed about a 39% reduction in anxiety scores. So what does that mean? Human body odors. Underarm odor. Whoa. Sweat. Whoa. Anyway. Where are we coming to here? What's the world coming to? This is from Ascension Parish, Louisiana. An employee of the water plant was fired after he was caught urinating into the water supply. Parish officials say authorities learned about the incident on Wednesday, March 22nd, and the employee was terminated at 2:45 that afternoon and arrested by the police. The sheriff's office identified the employee, who was 57, and charged him with 2 counts of contaminating water supplies and 2 counts of criminal damage to critical infrastructure. Damn good thing he didn't throw a Baby Ruth bar in there, man. Parish President Clint Cointman said as soon as his administration found out about the illegal act, an investigation was initiated and the report came back credible. They then fired the guy. Public was not in danger. So over the weekend, there was apparently a spill in Bucks County, Philadelphia, that contaminated the Delaware River. So I was on communication with some people online today in Philadelphia and Camden, and they had a lot of concerns. Now, water contamination in the Delaware River is making people concerned about the drinking water. This is from NBCPhiladelphia.com. So a report was released not too long ago, right before this program aired, that the water's safe, right? So the drinking water in Philadelphia comes from either the Delaware or Schuylkill River, depending on where you live. The chemical spill occurred on March 21st, happened in Otter Creek, a tributary to the Delaware River in Bristol Township, Bucks County. I know exactly where this is. So water from the Delaware River is treated in the Samuel S. Baxter plant about 8 miles downriver from the chemical plant where the spill allegedly took place. So we realize when they're doing this stuff, right? It doesn't come out of, you don't just go down to the river and get a 5-gallon bucket of water and, hey, let's drink it. No. That's got to be treated. It goes through a treated area, and that also treatment plant gets sampled, and there's a big process for this to let this happen. But as I always say, a lot of times it takes 24 to 48 hours to get sample results, sometimes more on that. So, again, be vigilant. Always be vigilant. Update on, let's see if we got anything else. Some more Department of Labor news here. Nope. Sorry. Possession of laughing gas to be banned as UK steps up crackdown on antisocial behavior. The UK government, this is from the Epoch Times by Alexander Zhang. The UK government will make possession of laughing gas a criminal offense as part of a new measures to crack down on antisocial behavior. I don't know if I can see them. Cracking down on the possession, but cracking down on behavior, right? We talked the last Saturday, on this upcoming interview on Wednesday, on government and organizations forcing relationships that would not arise organically, and it's causing a lot of pushback. I predict it's going to cause even more pushback. And here we have, we're going to crack down on antisocial behavior. Antisocial behavior has a lot of causes. Some of it could be regular mental illness, right? Mental illness, just you inherit it from in your genes. It could also be reinforced behavior. Drug use is one of them. Here's one of them, laughing, all this stuff. So I don't know. If a ban would work. Right? I don't know how easy it is to get nitrous oxide here with this. Right? This is from filling up balloons and things of that nature. All right, great with this. No, so you're filling up balloons with nitrous oxide. I tell you, banning substances, we ban a lot of stuff in this country. Since the war on drugs started, has the drug war subsided, or has it gotten worse? Right? How easy is it to make or obtain nitrous oxide? Don't know exactly the manufacturing process, but I suspect it's not too hard to do. So now you're going to go into the black market for nitrous oxide. Complete disclosure, I've had it a couple of times for oral surgery. We are concerned about the government spokesman told the BBC, we are concerned about the rise in health and social harms of nitrous oxide and how widely available it is to the public, particularly to young people. Therefore, we are banning nitrous oxide. We are for the first time making possession of nitrous oxide an offense. Okay, good. Nitrous oxide is gas sold in small silver containers, which are then squirted into balloons and then inhaled. Prolonged use can cause a vitamin B12 deficiency, anemia, and nerve damage. It could lead to spinal injuries, according to some doctors. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't researched it. It's been getting worse since the COVID-19 pandemic, as increasingly a scourge here. I don't know. Probably worth looking at, right? This also from the Epoch Times. The Chinese communist regime's draconian zero COVID policy has caused a substantial secondary disaster. Since the regime suddenly lifted all the COVID-19 control measures in December 2022, the future of mass quarantine centers that cost tens of billions of dollars to build has attracted wide attention. So, a lot of these quarantine facilities have been abandoned, and now what are you going to do with them? It's a big issue with that. You know, a lot of people feel that they wasted money on here, and now, right? So I have some experience in this area. I was hired to do health and safety with a friend of this program, David Olcott, where we were. I was hired to be a health and safety professional on a COVID-19 hospital build in my neighborhood. And I know all paid for by the federal dollars. How do we build it? We use panels. Now, the biggest thing with building these hospitals, sprinkler systems. So they had an existing auditorium. What was some of the stuff? Sprinkler systems, number one. Power systems, number two. Right, installing power and backup power, because you're a hospital, you need to have sprinklers, you have to have backup power. And we also built things with panels, and you're going to laugh, industrial Legos. Very impressive facility. Went up in a month, and during COVID, it wasn't easy. Because getting qualified workforce, and everybody's freaking out, especially up here in the Northeast, because right across the border in Rockland County, where I'm from, was one of the areas of ground zero, and for the pandemic, right? And we had ongoing coverage with that. I had to take most of it down because it wasn't worth the aggravation, right? You have the aggravation factor. The House on March 27th, and this is from Eva Fu from the Epoch Times also, the House on March 27th overwhelmingly passed the bill to punish Communist China for its forced organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience. The move marked the first non-symbolic legislative measure in the United States to counter the atrocity. H.R. 1154, dubbed the Stop Forced Organ Harvesting Act of 2023, passed by a vote of almost unanimous, 413-2. All right, so there are some people not in session there. It aims to sanction anyone involved in the organ harvest and organ harvesting. It was sponsored bipartisan by Senators Tom Cotton, and Senator Chris Coons, and more than a dozen other lawmakers, right, leading the measure's companion version in the Senate. All right. Representative Chris Smith of New Jersey was the principal sponsor of the bill, called attention to the penalties in the bill for those found to be involved in forced organ harvesting. A civil penalty of $250,000 and a criminal penalty of up to $1 million. It's got real teeth. We're not kidding. This is an atrocity. This is a crime against humanity, and it's a war crime because this is a war on innocent people in China. Xi Jinping is also directly responsible, but those who willingly engage in this will be held responsible. My question is this. Okay, how's this even enforceable in China? Right? What, are you going to wait for the Chinese people who do this, officials, business people, citizens to come over here and then arrest them? I think you're playing a game of chicken with China, and you're looking for a major escalation here with this. So, no, I don't know. We're escalating things with China. I don't know how good of an idea that is. And to just for complete disclosure here, the Epoch Times is published by the Falun Gong religious or spirituality movement, who are often the allegedly the targets of a lot of Chinese, pro-Chinese movements. Okay. Let's talk about East Palestine, and we'll finish up with that, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Let me check on the time here, because there's a lag time on the computer program and what it really is. It shows up on my screen. Okay, 5 minutes, 20 seconds. All right. Toxic wastewater from the site in February derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, is being transported to Baltimore, Maryland. Will be treated and discharged. Right? So that's basically a treat. They treat and discharge. So Clean Harbors Environmental Services, whom I've worked with before, has contracted with Norfolk Southern Railway to accept, treat, and discharge wastewater collected from rainwater and everything else. Now, this would probably be a good time to go over to the EPA website, and let's see, they have statistics on here. All right. So here we have... this is a latest update as of this morning. All right. 91 tons estimated of contaminated soil was shipped. $8.6 million of estimated gallons of liquid wastewater was shipped. There are 623 indoor air quality screenings, and just for kicks, the Welcome Center has received 408 visitors. This sounds like a road trip I want to go on, right? So, with all this rain we've been having in Ohio and everything, probably a lot of wastewater has to be treated and things coming off of runoff, things of that nature, right? So here we have the all right, today the EPA published the document, the newsletter, right, for communities in Ohio and Pennsylvania. Newsletter will also be mailed to area residents. The EPA continues overseeing cleanup at the derailment site. Large flue lake tanks are temporarily holding additional wastewater for removal and disposal. The lake tanks will reduce EPA's on-site frac tank footprint. Frac tanks for smaller quantities of liquid storage, they're usually 21,000 gallons, have been used since the derailment to stage liquid before it is removed for off-site disposal. EPA is reviewing preliminary soil data as they are received. Final results will be available in the coming weeks. Okay, that's good. I would like to think that they listen to our program. All right, or Coast to Coast AM, where I mentioned that, where they weren't right? It seems like they stopped releasing soil results. And that's what's going on over there. So we will see you back tomorrow and that'll be Tuesday, March 28th. I'll probably read that newsletter from East Palestine and see what else they say there. Hope everything is going well. No, let me just mention is this. You need to, now, again, go out there and get your first aid CPR AED. I'd like it to be from me, training. I'd like it to be from me, but if it's not from me, that's okay. You might save a life with that. I know my mother-in-law, me and my brother-in-law were the ones administrating first aid CPR. We weren't successful, but no, we at least tried to give her the best chance that we could. And with my brother, right, if you have a chronic health issue, please resolve it and everything else here. And we'll see you back here tomorrow.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation, Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.